The Allied liberation of Europe begins with the invasion of Axis-occupied Sicily by some 181,000 Allied soldiers on the night of July 9th to 10th, 1943. Supported by naval gunfire, tactical bombing, and close air support, American forces, including paratroopers, land along a central stretch of the island's south coast, while Canadian and British troops hit the beaches at Sicily's southern tip and up the southeastern coast. The 1st Canadian Infantry Division is there at the insistence of Prime Minister Mackenzie King and Canadian military headquarters in Britain. Canadian troops have been bashed and battered in Hong Kong and Dieppe, and now the country's political and military leaders want their army back in the fight. The road to victory in Sicily had begun with an ingenious ruse by Allied planners in Britain, and a disaster at sea that nearly cancelled Canada's part in the whole affair. As the Allies prepared to sail for Sicily, 200,000 under-equipped Italian troops, supported by 32,000 Germans, comprise a suspect force. Early on the morning of April 30th, 1942, more than 2 months before the invasion is to take place, the Allies launch a bizarre deception. They jettison the corpse of a homeless man from a submarine off the Spanish coast. The remains are given false papers identifying the body as that of Major William Martin of the shadowy Combined Operation Headquarters in London. Chained to its waist is a dispatch case stuffed with documents suggesting where a strike will come. Believing Martin died in an air crash, Spanish authorities turn the documents over to German intelligence, but the paper's contents are confounding. Some documents suggest Sicily is to be the target, but only after Sardinia is taken. Others point to Greece, with Sicily a ruse to throw the Germans off. The result? Confusion in the Nazi hierarchy. On May 11th, the German naval staff declare it impossible to authenticate the papers. But the damage is already done. Hitler and Grand Admiral Dönitz decide Sicily is unlikely and opt to maintain Sardinia's defenses. 2 days later, the naval staff declares the documents authentic after all, and they conclude there will be a mock attack on Sicily followed by an invasion of Sardinia. Hitler comes to believe Greece or somewhere in the Balkans is the real target. Meanwhile, Allied planners are hard at work. As the last of the 125 ships and escorts of Canadian convoys leave Scotland for the Mediterranean, the 1st Canadian Infantry Division's 2 most senior officers engage in a daily battle planning ritual. Early each morning, Lieutenant Colonel George Kitching, the General Staff Officer, shakes a hat filled with paper chits bearing the names of the ships transporting nearly 27,000 troops and all their necessary equipment. Major General Guy Simmons, the division commander, draws 3 chits, the name on each representing ships torpedoed by German U-boats. They then consider the challenges and the options presented by each scenario. On July 3rd, Simmons draws 3 chits that send chills through the 2 officers. They bear the names of 3 key freighters: City of Venice, Saint Esild, and Davis. Their loads include trucks, jeeps, radio sets, and a vast array of equipment essential to the divisional headquarters. The loss of 1 of these ships will be bad. 2, a crisis but manageable. Lose all 3, however, and the division is crippled. They rank the odds that this will happen at 1,000,000 to 1, and Simmons draws 3 other chits. A day later, an explosion rips through City of Venice. 30 minutes later, Saint Eslit is hit. A dozen die in the 2 torpedo strikes. The next afternoon, Davis goes down, taking 52 Canadian lives with it. A total of 562 vehicles and dozens of key artillery pieces are lost. Precious wireless sets go to the bottom off the North African coast, along with 15 of 18 field ambulances. The Canadians' worst nightmare has come true. Nevertheless, the leadership assesses the situation and decides to proceed with the invasion. Simmons' 1st Canadian Infantry Division, along with the 1st Canadian Tank Brigade, under Major General Frank Worthington, land at Pacino. With no trucks to transport them, troops must march into mountainous terrain through the heat and the dust of midsummer in southernmost Italy. They're supplied by mules. The poorly equipped and dispirited Italian defenders offer little opposition. But as the Canadians move inland, they run up against seasoned Germans skilled in mountain fighting. The Allied advance grinds its way forward. Taking Valgernera on July 17th, the Canadians suffer nearly 150 casualties. Still, they fight on. Monte Asaro falls after the Hastings and Prince Edward Regiment mounts a daring nighttime raid, scaling its steep cliffs. By August 5th, the Canadians have taken Leonforte, Agira, and Rigalbuto. Four Royal Canadian Air Force squadrons provide support throughout the campaign. 3 Wellington bomber squadrons lay waste to Axis airfields, marshalling yards, ports, and towns. Spitfires from 417 Squadron patrol the skies. Finally, Canadian infantry units are withdrawn from active operations on August 6th. They had been marching and fighting for 27 straight days. Sicily is secured by August 17th, 1 month, 1 week, and 1 day after the invasion began. Canadian casualties totaled 2,310, including 562 killed. Another 154 airmen are killed in action. But fascist Italian troops and the forces of Nazi Germany are eradicated in Sicily. Mediterranean sea lanes are open to Allied merchant ships for the first time since 1941, and Allied intentions turn now to liberating mainland Italy.